All right, so it is 10 a.m. We have the webinar, the second webinar this semester with Innospark, one of our clients, and we've had many of them in the past when this company participated in the project with the college students. And so in the interest of time, but also to avoid the repetition, today the goal is not so much to talk about the company in the sense of presenting the company, but rather focused on feedback and questions and answers. So we have a lot of questions from the students who already are working on the challenge. And so the idea is that we will try to present some of the ideas they already have and try to get some feedback on their work. As well as if they have any questions, that will be a good opportunity for them to ask. And so we have received a few questions via email. I see people started joining here. So I see Oleski is here. And so hopefully there will be more people. So again, if you would like to ask a question, just raise your hand. There is a button on the screen there where you can literally raise your hand. And when you do, we will see it and we will be able to allow you to talk. Or you can just have the questions in the comments. And so a lot of questions about the challenge itself. And let's go question by question. So one, competition. So as you may know, both of my kids are also participating this time. And so the team of my older one, the 13-year-olds and 14-year-olds, they, at least that one team, chose your company. And so I've had an opportunity to see what other teams are working on. But for this one, I actually have to be sort of involved and, watch the webinars when they have meetings and stuff like that, so I know what's going on in that team in particular. And so one of the debate they had was competition. So they couldn't agree on who your competitors are. On the one hand, they couldn't find anyone who makes products that are exactly like yours. But then at the same time, when you Google play table, all kinds of things come up from all kinds of companies, but in most cases, they would be less sort of not high tech. So it would be either just a table on which you can play with toys or something different. And so they seem to be not a direct competition, even though it's the same idea. And so the question then is, do you actually have direct competitors? And maybe the children just didn't find them. Or is your product, especially the light table, so unique that nobody makes anything that is quite in that same category?
Well, talking about light tables, actually there are many companies who produce them. We also have several in Lithuania. And so talking about this particular product, so I believe that children can actually find the competition. But if we are thinking like about all our product line, so yeah, I have to admit that it's kind of difficult to find like really close competitors to our products. However, I believe that children can still like choose companies who produce like play furniture, which has not only one product and just have products who are multifunctional and just like maybe have great design, or maybe they have more like educational value. So they just can combine different features and choose according to them.
So if they wanted to find them competition products, what would be the good search words? You said play furniture, is that?
Yeah, play furnitures, creative environment for children, imagination toys, also sensory toys as well.
Sensory, okay, I'm writing that down just in case anybody asks me. But that's very good, because I think the way they did go about it was literally they were trying to find a direct match, and apparently it's not so easy, and as a result it's not easy to find companies that make something like this. Yeah. And so another question is, so do any of the big toy makers make anything like this, or is it primarily smaller, more specialized companies that make products of this kind?
I would say that the small companies actually make these kind of products, especially light tables, yeah. But concerning our like sensory space dividers or soft toys TetraCube, there are some big companies who make similar products, but actually they still kind of difference a lot from our products. So especially sensory space divider is like a unique product in the world, actually.
Interesting, interesting. Okay, yeah. So it seems to me that at least a few teams that I've been able to observe didn't do a thorough enough research, because it seems like all of them came to the conclusion that you are so unique that even though other companies make something similar, it's not exactly the direct competition. And it seems like there are some, okay, well, I guess that's good to know. So they still have some time to look at it. And then a related question, I assume they would have, so if you had to compare your products yourself to the competition, what would you say are your strengths and weaknesses compared to them?
I believe that our strength is design. One of the main strengths, as there are many actually toys who have a lot of educational value for children. However, they don't look nice, or actually are made from not environmentally friendly materials. So we just try to maintain this nature-inspired design. So yeah, that would be like one of the strengths. And also we don't want to make products which are like close-ended. We want to make them to have many functions, and that the child could grow with that kind of toy and find different activities he can perform on it. So that's not very common in the toys environment. And talking about the weaknesses, well, we're still like a small company, so talking about the price and economies of scale, so it's very difficult for us to suggest and offer to the customer like a small price for these kind of products. So yeah. If a customer wants a great design and a great variety of functions, so he has to pay a lot for our products.
It makes sense. Yeah. Absolutely. Talking about products, several teams asked if they should try to design brand new toys or come up with ideas for brand new toys for your company, or they should focus on trying to come up with ideas for how to improve existing ones, or product design is not that interesting altogether and the focus should be primarily on marketing and business?
Well, product design is actually a very interesting topic for us, and we actually really welcome the ideas of the children. And it really depends. If they have like great ideas how to improve our products, they can focus on it. Or maybe they just have a amazing idea of completely different product, but which of course could fit our product line. So we are also very interested in hearing and seeing them. So we don't have like preferences on this kind.
Okay, well, so then, yeah, that's good to know, because I know some of the teams have some ideas for new toys and they were worried whether or not you would be interested in hearing them at least. And it doesn't necessarily mean that you promise that you will start making those products, but at least, taking a look, why not? Yes.
Yeah, of course.
A lot of questions about the location, the markets. So can you maybe repeat one more time where you sell your products, but then more importantly, what are the criteria for selecting the new market? And I will give you some examples in a minute of what countries they have in mind at this time. And again, perhaps maybe a little feedback on whether or not they are on the right track. So maybe first, what countries already sell your products and why, and perhaps what countries you're most interested in?
Currently we are selling of course, our e-shops. We can ship our products to every country in the world. So, but majority of our products are sold in United States. Of course, in many European countries, it's France, Germany, UK, Poland, Latvia, Estonia, and there is some, of course, in Asia, but it's not that significant. And talking about the markets, of course, maybe we would give preferences to the countries which actually speak English, and it's
Right.
like first language, as it is easier for us. And of course, then we don't have to employ people who speak other languages like Spanish
Right.
or I don't know, German is also kind of difficult sometimes. So, so for English-speaking countries, it would be the best choice for us.
And so there is a question that I have right about that. So yesterday I was watching the discussion that unfolded among the team members where my son is a member of. And so one of the students suggested the Czech Republic as a potential market. But then another team member responded saying that, first of all, it's a small market, so it wouldn't make sense to invest much in advertisement there just because it's not a big one. But second, language. So they said that since your products primarily are designed for schools and daycares, chances are they will want to ask some questions beforehand. And so communication may be challenging if English is not the first language. And so then the question for you is, so how important is that language issue? Does it have to be an English-speaking country or not? And what other criteria you look at when you select a new market? Or
well, yeah. So, like I said, the preference would be the English-speaking country, but also we children could also check how many people actually in their chosen country speak English as their second language.
right.
So that would also could be like a determinant when choosing a country, because in European countries, in some European countries, especially in the small countries, the English speakers is like kind of high percentage of population. So that's okay, because like a lot of people in Scandinavia, for example, are speaking English as their second language, and they're doing like this perfectly. So why not to choose it? So, but so. Concerning the Czech Republic, I don't know about their level of English.
I was surprised when they brought it up, so too, yeah.
Yeah, but maybe
they value education a lot, and they have some private daycares, and they felt it would be a good market. But then again, the team seemed, in fact, one of the team members I see has just joined us, so Adve, maybe you can say more about that eventually. So.
Yes.
Okay, all right. So another big debate I saw was about private versus public education. So some people were saying that the best markets would be the ones where the education, both daycare and schools, are private. They are more likely to buy expensive toys. They have a bigger budget, as well as do not have to get approvals at the highest level. But then the counter argument was that maybe it should be the one with the public education, because the state pays and the school doesn't care that much about the price. And so have you ever run into this kind of issue? Does it matter at all? Private, public, who are your customers primarily at this time?
Yeah, so of course in Lithuania there are more public kindergartens. So obviously they're our primarily number one customers, and well, of course, with public kindergartens, there is like the whole budget cycle with them. So they get money, particularly in during several months in the year. So this. Buying procedure can be kind of long term, and we have like particular months when our sales are going up, because kindergartens actually receiving money from municipalities and from the state, and we can see this trend. Talking about the private kindergartens, of course it would be easier, because they just make all the decisions, and they can buy our products. So I don't think that it's really important in this kind of way, but maybe a deeper research is necessary here. But from our experience, it doesn't matter that much.
Yeah. Here in the United States, I don't think we even have such a thing as a public daycare. So I think they're all private. I mean, maybe some companies have their own, but in that case, it would be still a private company-owned facility. And so one of the dilemmas I see here is that there is a huge difference in quality and budget. So many daycares in the United States are, let's call them poor. So
Yeah.
they pay sort of minimum wage to them teachers or caregivers. And it seems to me that they are not really, looking to expand, educational programs or offer, fun, wonderful toys. But then at the same time, in the same city, you would have some that are very rich. I mean, all those Montessori and then special program daycares where parents pay outrageous amounts of money. Like normally a cheaper one would be like $700-800 per month for a child. But then you can find some that are literally $2,000-3,000 per month. And so it seems to me that to them, the budgets are much, much larger. So I guess it also may depend on the specific institution as opposed to country or even a city. So.
Yeah, and also it really depends also, I believe, on the country, because, for example, in Lithuania, actually regional kindergartens have actually more money than city kindergartens.
Huh.
Yeah, because usually cities are just like fighting all over for the money, and the state really wants to increase the level of education and in the regional areas, and therefore they really spend a lot of money there. So
right. Adve, I saw you raise your hand. If you would like to unmute your microphone and video and ask your question, you're live now.
Sorry if I'm late. I couldn't seem to connect. Sorry about that. For Innospark, I did a survey with my friends, and they had a look. And the problem was that the shipment for your toys, they take a lot of time. So in England, we have this company called Mamas and Papas. So they sell toys like Innospark, and they ship internationally in 1 week. And for Innospark, I think it's for 1 month. So why does it take so much time for you to ship the product?
We usually just write that it's like 1 month, but actually usually takes less time to ship our light tables or our products. It's just like it really depends if we have our products in stock or we don't have them in stock, because we don't have a big inventory. So if you like order like 20 tables at once, it would take time, several weeks or more. But if you like order 1 or 2 tables, so we usually can ship it in several days. So we just write this just to make sure that we could fulfill the obligation for the customer.
Okay, thank you.
Do you make a product specifically per order, or do you have an inventory of toys to be ready shipped?
It really depends on the product. We have like some inventory of light tables, but usually we make sensory space dividers on a particular request.
Right.
So, and with TetraCube, it's also almost the same as our inventories in our office, and it's a really small space, so we don't have a lot of products in stock. But talking about the creativity kits, so yeah, usually you can get them anytime. So.
Makes perfect sense. A few students also asked about the price. How flexible are you on the price? Is it negotiable? Is it possible to lower it if an order is a little larger, or if it comes from a poor country, whatever that means, or the price is fixed and what you charge, that's what you charge and you cannot go down at all?
We make discounts, especially for kindergartens who are buying like, for example, 5 light tables. We can do some kind of discount or more tables. So yeah, it could be negotiable.
One of the students, or apparently it was his father, who said that there is a slight chance, or at least they're exploring the possibility of talking not to the daycares, but talking to, if it's a governmentally owned network, talking to the district and trying to get an order for the whole district, not just for one daycare, but for all the daycares that belong to the district. And so then the question is, if that happened, and let's say there are a few dozen daycares that kind of belong to the jurisdiction, and they wanted to buy one of those, for example, light tables for every daycare, or maybe even multiple for each daycare. The capacity, would you be able to fulfill a larger order like this?
Yeah. Of course, it would take more time, but for example, for light tables, it could be like 2-month production time actually. With the sensory space dividers, of course, it would be more difficult as they require a lot of handwork. So well, yeah, the time would be longer. But we actually had one kindergarten chain in Lithuania which wanted to have our products in all their classes. So it was, I believe, 25 different kindergarten classes. So yeah, it took like 1.5 months, and we fulfilled their request.
And these are durable goods, right? So it's not something that you need to buy tomorrow. So normally you place an order, it's okay to wait for a while, but then once you get it, you use it for years. Right? So I guess timing is not as critical here. It's not like you need to buy milk today for the breakfast, right? So, yeah. Okay, that makes perfect sense. A lot of questions about marketing. So one more time then, who makes the decisions usually about buying those products? Are those usually the principals of the daycares or some sort of procurement departments, or would it be the state, or maybe parents? Did you ever sell to the private companies? What is the segment, or who are the people that the advertisement campaign should kind of focus on?
On the one hand, it should be parents with small children, of course. They're like our direct customer, as they just buy and they use it with their child.
At home.
And also, it should be the kindergartens well, usually these decisions are made by headmistresses or headmasters, so it also should be campaigned to them. Sometimes, of course, like teachers see our products and then they tell about them to the headmasters, but actually the decision is made by the headmasters.
And so one of the discussions that I did observe was specifically the headmaster, as you call it, or a principal, as they call it in the United States, versus teachers. So one argument was that it is the teachers who make the suggestions, and even though the actual check or the payment is made by the manager of the institution, the idea comes from the teachers. And so that student said that that's why we should try to market it to the teachers, not to the headmasters. Others said, well, teachers don't really make those decisions. They don't really make the payments. So the advertisement should go to the managers of the daycares, whichever way they're called in different countries. So what is your experience with that?
Well, actually, in the last year, we have been in several exhibitions. And in one, we had contact with many teachers, and in other, we had contact with many principals. And actually, the better sales results were from the meetings with the principals.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Because teachers, of course, they immediately see how they're going to use the product. They immediately like it and really wish to have it. However, I'm not sure about their determination to actually always suggest to the principal and to stand for this product and actually explain why it is so good and why we should buy it. With the principals, of course, they're more cautious. They are concerned about the price and quality. But if we reach them, then we are more sure that this interaction would result into sales.
That makes perfect sense, actually. You're right, because if you talk to the teacher, even if they buy the idea, by the time they get home and can talk to the principal, it will be days, if not weeks. The enthusiasm kind of fades out.
Yeah.
And then one thing when you actually see that thing at an exhibition somewhere or in a catalog, and another thing when somebody who doesn't know the product so well tells to the principal days later, I guess you have so many degrees of separation, both in time, but also in terms of people, so that I guess it becomes much more difficult to convince the person who will actually write the check.
Yeah.
So, makes perfect sense. Advertisement channels then. So we have, it appears like there are two main ideas so far that I see. Some people believe that social media should be used, and they believe that in some cases like Facebook, it allows you, or Google Ads, it allows you to target precisely the people of the right profession with the right, in the right location. But others said that maybe you should use direct mailing. So it's not difficult to go to the yellow pages of a particular city and literally find every daycare, the address, sometimes often the name of the principal. And they say you can either send an email, but others say, well, emails, nobody reads them if they're ads. But somebody said it should be literally letters. And so a letter you can send probably for $1 or so to just about any location on the planet. People don't get that many of them, so maybe they will actually open it, especially when it comes from a foreign country. And so it's relatively easy to find the contacts, and they feel that it's not that expensive. And honestly, I don't know, like if they asked me, I wouldn't know what to say. What is your take here? So social media, email, direct mail, or maybe something entirely different?
Well, actually, we're doing a combination of it. So I couldn't say that one way or another is better, as we have done Facebook ads and also Google ads. Yeah, the targeting helps, and variety of course of people see those ads. So but we haven't see like very good results of it.
Mm-hmm.
That's why we stopped doing it.
So which one was not very good?
As well, Facebook and Google ads, we did them.
Didn't work very well.
Yeah, it didn't go very well, so we stopped it. But of course, maybe it really depends how much money you invest and how long you're doing these ads.
Right.
As we don't have like a lot of marketing resources, so our campaigns were kind of short, and this could be the reason why they were not so successful. And talking about the email marketing, so yeah, actually it's a good idea. We have our newsletter, and we are sending it to, of course, to Lithuanian kindergartens and also to our customers, and we are focusing really on the content of the newsletter and the quality of it. So it's usually, as I'm writing those, so it's usually each newsletter is about a different topic for children education. So
it's not just about your product, it's more educational, useful.
Yeah. It's actually more about the value for the customer, because as you mentioned, people don't like to open those promotional newsletters.
Right.
So yeah, it's really about the quality. And also we sometimes actually write direct mails to the different boutiques or shops which could actually be interested in our products, or I don't know, like stores chains and kindergarten chains. We tried writing, and of course sometimes Vita, the company owner, is always saying that you just have to like send 100 emails to different companies or different boutiques, and just don't be upset if nobody answers you, because it's a really long, like a big shot, and it's actually not always successful. But from these kind of mails, actually we saw some increase in our sales, and therefore we try each week to send emails to several, for example, I send to several boutiques each week, just to spread the word, word of it too, and actually maybe it would result in something good.
Yeah, if those were my MBA students, I would tell them that try to do some cost-benefit analysis. I'm not sure if we can expect that from the students, but let's say they recommend that you send hard copy letters to the daycares. And let's say on average it will cost you, let's say $2 total with the shipping and the paper and the envelope and whatever else needs to be sent.
Yeah.
And so I don't know what the profit margins are, but I guess you need to look at, let's say, for example, you want to send 100 of those. How many purchases do you expect from 100 letters? So knowing that it will cost you about $200 just to mail them out.
Yeah.
And so if you think that there will be only, let's say, one purchase from that campaign for every 100, maybe it's not even that profitable because you have to pay $200 if you sell only one product. The question is, will you make more money than you spend on it? But if you think that there will be maybe 10 purchases from each 100 letters, then obviously it makes sense. And obviously until we test, we wouldn't know, but it's a good idea to try to run those numbers to have an idea whether or not it would be usable and practical. So marketing budget, is this something that you're at liberty to disclose, or what kind of numbers? So many teams ask what kind of numbers you're talking about. Is it a percentage of sales? Is it a specific number? And do you spend much money on marketing in general, or do you try to use methods that are inexpensive or free, such as maybe newsletters, as you mentioned, or presence online?
Well, now actually we're mostly investing our time. This is especially Siebel talking about social media posts, newsletters, participating in different kind of events. So yeah, we're trying to the inexpensive ways to market our products, but of course time to time we do some stuff which is of course expensive, like sending actually hard copy catalogs, or participating in exhibitions which have some kind of fee, and doing like social media campaigns, like ads and something like that. But we don't have like a particular marketing budget. It really depends on the time of the year. And yeah, we usually try to come up with ideas which would be inexpensive and just try them out.
Yeah. One idea that the team asked for feedback on is to organize little competitions or contests where, for example, your product can be the prize. And so they thought that maybe daycares would like to engage in it more as a game as opposed to receive advertisement. And so they thought that if you posted on Facebook, for example, that you have a competition among daycares for either a best picture or a best toy idea, or just about anything, and you say the winning idea or the winning daycare will get, let's say, the light table for free. The hope was that they will, submit ideas, talk to friends, brag, especially they say in that specific idea, they said that let the public choose the best design. And the idea here was not because the public is the smartest and they will choose the best design, but because that will prompt the competitors to ask their friends to vote for them. And by doing so, they will sort of ask the friends to take a look at your product. And so the question was, did you try anything like this? Do you think it might work? And if you have any reservations, what those would be?
So we did some contests in Instagram, but of course it was mainly with the private customers. Because talking about the kindergartens, I don't know, from my experience, I find them kind of conservative, and that I don't think that their engagement would be kind of huge. So therefore, I am not sure about making a contest exclusively for the kindergartens. But when we did it in Instagram with several other brands, well, yeah, of course, we increased our brand awareness, we gained more followers, and it was kind of okay, but well, we're still talking about giving away only our like creativity kits, as to give away our light table is still like kind of expensive for us
to
do this kind of thing.
Yeah. So again, the question is the price of the prize. Is it going to be smaller than the expected profits from the campaign?
Yeah.
Another question is about direct sales versus distribution or distributors.
Yeah.
So do you currently focus primarily on selling directly to the final customer, or do you work with distributors, and do you have a preference for the future? And I think you did mention some boutiques and some other places that might be the distributors. What's your strategy here?
We have currently we have like one large distributor in the Baltics. So of course it is convenient to work with distributors, as they usually have more experience in the market, and the bigger customer. More customers actually, but of course it would be better for us to have direct sales, as we would have more profit of it.
Right.
So but if we are like talking about faraway markets like I don't know, like China or Australia, of course it would be better for us to have a distributor, because we have no clue about their market and how they work and what do they buy. So to reach actually private customers, it would be like really hard. So our preference would be to have a distributor there.
And a related question, can your product be retailed through toy stores, or does it have to be specifically a distributor who works directly with daycares?
No, of course it could be a toy store. It really doesn't matter.
Well, the smaller ones, I suppose, can go like through Toys R Us or whoever else. They seem to be going out of market. But other toy stores like that, right?
Yeah, sure. Why not?
And I think last time we talked about that, but a couple of teams now, I see a question about selling online via Amazon or AliExpress. Did you try that? And I believe last time we talked a little bit about that, but it seems like some teams are planning to suggest that again. And so we would like to get some feedback before they fully dive into that idea.
Well, actually, we haven't done that, and I don't think we are willing to do that, only because that our products are quite expensive,
right.
And actually they're quality goods. So we believe that they would like be lost in all that stuff in Amazon and eBay and sites like that, and therefore we are more interested in like smaller sites and something like that, more like handmade and custom made sites.
Right. Makes sense. I see Oleg and Adve again raised their hands. So if you would like to ask your questions, you can unmute your microphones at any time. Oleg, if you would like to go ahead, now is a good time.
Yeah, hello. So I have, if you don't mind, I want to back to the problem of markets. So we need to know your opinion. My students need to know your opinion about a couple of markets. What do you think? Georgia and Ukraine. It's can be some promising, some valuable markets for your company. Because yes, this is not so big markets, especially Georgia.
Yeah.
But it's not in English-speaking country. But we know that the amount of English-speaking children in this country increasing significantly. Yes. Ukraine also has some situation, and there are some social groups in Ukraine, wealthy groups with big wage. So we think that Ukrainian can be also some promising market for Innospark.
Thanks for the question. So, well, yeah, as you mentioned, it's not that big of the market, especially if we are talking about Georgia. As well, I am not sure how many people in those countries are actually really interested in different kind of childhood education. Because why we are so interested more like in countries like Scandinavia and even United States, as we see the increasing trend of homeschooling, of different kind of need actually for creativity education, and therefore I'm not sure about this market like Ukraine and Georgia. But maybe, as you say, maybe there is an increasing trend of interest in these countries. So yeah, it would be interesting to hear about it more.
And as always, the best way to prove that the idea is a good one is to bring a contract or bring a order. And so if you can find, no, that's what we tell to the students. If you think it's a good market, talk to the potential customers, and if you can bring a letter of intent to buy the product, that's the best proof that there is a demand. So, yeah. So for the students, I mean, yeah.
Okay, understood.
Practice.
Well, it's a good practice too, because you can have all those brilliant ideas about how to sell 1 million copies of the product until you actually talk to the potential customers and get the response. It turns out that whatever you planned may be far, far from reality. So.
Yeah.
Or not, maybe it will work. We always, every semester, we have a few teams that actually sell a product. And so in some cases, in fact, they get quite a large contract. And so they say, see, it works. We have a customer. And so, so why not this time? So I have 2 more questions that came by email, and then we will see if any of the attendees have questions. One, did you ever consider becoming a distributor yourself? So you are in a business of selling educational toys, and there are other companies that make them. Why not list or cross-list them on your own website and perhaps taking a little margin? So did you think about teaming up with other manufacturers and selling their products through your channels at a little profit for you as well? Or that is completely out of your business model?
Well, it's actually out of our business model, as we think of ourselves more like a design house for educational toys. Mm-hmm. So therefore, we're not like considering to bring other designs in our shop. Yeah, we would be maybe more interesting in like collaboration in design, in product design, which could like have features of what we like, and the designers of the other firm or something like that. But because there are a lot of distributors who actually have like many toys and sell them to the customers, so I don't think that it's our unique like selling proposition.
I think the way they put it in the draft there was that if you do it, it doesn't cost you much to add new products to your website from potential partners. And then if they're sold, you can get a little just profit from that.
Yeah.
The idea was that also if you have more products on your own website, then potentially more buyers will come, and then they will buy those products as well as your product. But yes, it's a whole different business model. And so for a small company to get into that, it will require a lot of resources and may distract you from your main core competencies.
Yeah, that's true.
One final question that I received, and again, they wanted to get feedback. Did you ever try to promote your products to potential sponsors or donors under the kind of the premise that a wealthy individual or a company can buy these toys for a local daycare, so basically make like a charitable donation? And so I have no idea if it's a good idea, but do you think that's something that might be explored deeper? So currently there are many people who believe in education and are willing to help, and if you gave them an option to buy your toy and make a gift to a local daycare, or a daycare maybe in like Africa or Asia that cannot afford it. So do you think that's something that they can look into, or it's a completely, again, way out of your current focus?
Well, that's a really interesting idea. I think we haven't even thought about it when trying to sell our products. So it's difficult for me to say if it would work or not, but it could be a possible thing to do. Why not?
I was also completely lost when I saw that, but it seems like I kind of suspect, I'm speculating here, that the idea was not so much from the child, but from the parent.
Yeah.
Like the parent has some experience with this kind of stuff, so maybe they can provide more details and explain more how it might work. I don't know, maybe it would be more evaluated at least.
Yeah, now I'm thinking that, we have like, even in Lithuania, we have like those charitable organizations and clubs of some kind of like wealthy people, or how do you say that? And they actually make donations for different kind of schools or kindergartens. So contacting them could be a possibility.
So if you have a strategy for how it might work, perhaps you put it in your report, and then who knows, maybe it might be better yet if you have some potential sponsors, and maybe we can do it like a test sale and see if they would be willing to pay for that, and send it to some daycares that might need it and see how it works. All right, so we're pretty much out of time. Oleg, Advey, do you have any other questions? I think I've gone through all of the ones that I received by email. So anyone? Well, then, thank you so much for taking the time on a busy Monday afternoon. I'm sure you had other things to do. So it will be another maybe 3 weeks or so before we have the final reports. And as I said, it's hard to predict how good they will be, but I hope there will be at least some interesting ideas coming out of this. And thank you so much, everyone, for participating, and those who are watching watching the recording later. So you can always ask questions by email. So we will forward them to the company, and hopefully we'll receive an answer by email.
Thank you so much.
Thank you so much, Aista. Yes.
Thank you.
Bye.
Thank you. Bye-bye.
Bye.
Bye.